Hi everybody, this is Cynthia McMullen with Alaska Institute of Oriental Medicine, Acupuncture and Massage Therapy. And today we are going to have a deep conversation. I am here with, I have a number of names and titles to choose from. So start out, this is Dao Shi Pei Wolun. And Dao Shi is a Taoist title that basically translates to a master teacher. Somebody who has been following and living and teaching the way, the Tao, for a long time. And he is also known as Mr. Tai Chi, and we'll get into that. There's everything Tai Chi is with him. And around here, around our school, we very often call him Shifu or Shifu. And that title, Shifu, means a teacher father. And there's a sense with that of family and community. Somebody that actually, cares about the group of people that you're teaching. We were talking beforehand, and it's a very different title from guru, which is more associated with an unattached guide. So, we're going to talk to Shifu today, and I'm going to dive kind of right in, I think, and get some interesting information here, because he's so mysterious in a lot of ways. And I'm going to put my own interpretation on that for a moment, if I can, because I have known you for over 20 years now. And one of the things that I think people see is that you really live outside the box. You think outside the box, you live that way, and when people see you, it's difficult to understand. And it's like you're one of us, you're human, but at the same time you live your life so differently. So, for example, one of the things that I've seen you do is you have an almost uncanny way of seeing very deep into people very quickly. And I know in healing work, let's say for example, when I see somebody, I look for their light. I have to be able to see their light. And if I take their pulse, I'm looking for what's off, but at the same time, I'm really looking for what's their strong point. What do they have for me to work with? And you go even beyond that in some way. What is it that you see? How do you read people, or what do you see inside?
Right.
And because it's like you go to the core.
I see their spirit. Like most people will say they see auras, or they see colors, or they see vibrations, or they see light. I see their spirit. I see the essence of who they are. I see who they are meant to be. They came here to be this, and I see that.
And then when you tell them, you don't pretty it up or anything, you just go right in at that very deep level.
If I think they can take it.
Okay.
If I don't think they can take it, I don't do it. But then that's a subjective analysis of me thinking that they can tolerate whatever it is that I have to reveal to them.
Yeah, sometimes it's shocking, but at the same time it's very comforting.
The shock value takes them out of their morass, out of their stupor, out of their comfort zone. People get comfortable and lazy in their own patterns and rhythms. So it's sort of like people are used to a particular pair of slippers, right? They've been wearing these slippers for years. I give them new slippers. Now, in the beginning, a lot of times they really can't tolerate those new slippers. They don't like those new slippers at all. I mean, they don't even want to wear them. They want their own comfortable shoes. They're comfortable slippers. So I give them a new pair of slippers, which they probably have to, break in, get used to, and then I like to get them another pair of slippers before they get too comfortable with the ones that I just gave them. Don't get too comfortable.
And then a lot of times you'll do meditation or different things, and How is it that you see that helps somebody to find themselves?
Right.
Do you give them a specific guidance on that,
No.
or let them?
No. So I said I see their spirit, the essence of who they are, the essence of why they're here, who they're here to be, and then I can see whether or not they're being that. Not doing, but being. Are they being who they're here to be? I can see the differentiation between those two, and thereby can, manipulate consciousness and reality to bring those in harmony with each other, closer and closer to harmony.
Do you think that that's why you're here, to see that in other people?
The idea of the ability to do that is something I picked up along the way. It wasn't revealed to me until I was working on this idea of self-expression, self-manifestation, self-realization.
And where did that start in your life?
Right. So the journey itself started with Bruce Lee. I come from the Bruce Lee era. I was around when Bruce Lee was alive and making his debut into the Western consciousness.
Yeah, I remember one time you told me that all little boys used to want to be Bruce Lee.
Yes. If they knew about him, they did. So that was my opportunity to move into the Tao, the way. The motivation for moving into the Tao and the way came, a lot earlier with regards to disharmonies and incongruencies in life. Like the idea of why people weren't just good people, why people weren't just nice to each other, and why. So that.
How old were you in there?
4, 5.
That's quite an insight for a child of that age to see.
Well, it's easy to understand when you can understand the soft spots of life, the soft spots in the evolution of human beings and human culture. They're sort of like control points. And I like to say there's 8 significant soft spots in life. There's the spiritual, energetic, psycho-emotional. That's one category of soft spot. Then there's the cultural, genetic expression. Then there's what we call beauty, style, and fashion, another category. There's balance. There's harmony, and then there's appropriateness. So these are soft spots that the collective human consciousness all share with regards to reality, conscious reality, collective reality. I like to call common reality, the air that we all breathe, the light that informs us. So when you ask me that question, or when you ask me to elaborate in the area of, why were you able to realize or have these impressions at such a young age? Well, I have to look at the genetic and cultural soft spot. So as I manifest in the world, I manifest in the world as what people would call black or Negro or minority or something of that nature. That was how I manifested. And it soon became very clear that there were differential attitudes and actions taken towards different people in this cultural milieu. Some were pleasant, some were not pleasant, of course. The pleasant ones, okay. The unpleasant ones, well, we have to look into this. What is that? Right, this unpleasantness. So in a way, that's how. So I was referred to as a Negro child in those days. So I was born before civil rights. in the civil rights movements, but 63 to 70, then I became black. So, but always this differential from the common or the norm or the standard with regards to cultural ideals. And so these are going to be cultural ideals of beauty, cultural ideas of appropriateness, cultural ideas of expression. And so that disparity became very stark to me because of the environments that I was put in. I was put into a cultural environment of Catholic white schools at kindergarten and first grade and in those times. So the disparity in how people are treated became very stark very quickly, even to the idea of realizing, well, there's just some things that you can't do, and we can't explain it to you right now, but you can't. That leaves you with what the is that? So, the act of discernment started very young for me.
So you became fascinated with people at that point in a way?
Absolutely. Fascinated with people. And I had to be fascinated with people to make friends.
And then going back to Bruce Lee and that, how is that working in?
Well, the image of Bruce Lee didn't come in until I was 10, 11, 12, around there. So by that time, I'm looking for any information that would tell me what the hell these disparities are all about. And like I said, I went to Catholic school, Roman Catholic, Episcopal, those types of schools, and the stories that they told about what this was all about were wholly inadequate. They left way too many gaps, way too many holes, and way too many things unaddressed. That being said, the other traditions, they were sort of in the same rigor as the Catholic Church, which I later came to realize that these institutions are ethnically preferential. Right? They're preferential to the ethnicity of the culture that they're in, and if you're not of that culture, well, they're not preferential to you, which then the contradiction of this loving life force that embraces all, and then there's these contradictions of not so loving stuff going on here, or inappropriate loving stuff going on here, whatever, however you want to look at that, right? So again, disparities without explanation or continuity. It'd drive a sane man to searching. If you're sane, you gotta go start. You gotta start asking the questions: who, what, when, where, why, how. And usually, if you ask, all you gotta do is ask one or two of those questions, and you're already outside the box because nobody asks questions. They just accept.
So you stepped out of the box at 4 or 5 or 12, 13, 14. You really got both feet out.
Mm-hmm. And then there was this example of this guy Bruce Lee who showed you how to stay out. You get out of the box, and this is what you do. This is how you do it. So wow, that's interesting.
Do you remember the first real deep insight you had from him?
Flow like water. And in that, I found that my life was pretty stagnant. It was pretty prescribed to, different dimensions and aspects of life. So, no flow going on here. So that's the first thing that you have to look at is, okay, we got to get this thing moving. Okay? Get this party started.
And how did that look? How did that manifest?
I got to get out of here. Wherever I was at, I had to get out of there. I had to leave. First, I looked at conventional methods of getting out of here. Right? Decided on the military, so I joined the Army at an early age, and I was out of here. Mm-hmm. And then started chasing down this information that this guy Bruce Lee was talking about. The Tao, the way, the different philosophies, the different teachings, and how to be harmonious and one with the universe, how to flow, those types of concepts. And they were just concepts. I wasn't looking at really fighting or technique to life or this. They were just concepts that say, yeah, that's what you want. That's how you want your life to go.
And what resources did you have back then? He was alive?
He was alive.
Magazines or...
movies, magazines, movies, scurrying into whatever martial arts classes you can take, you can find. Reading, I was a voracious reader. I read the history of Chinese philosophy when I was like 13.
Wow.
And
that would have been your first exposure to Taoist philosophy.
Well, Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, right? History of Chinese philosophy, just talked about all those things. And like I said, I read it at 13. I didn't know subsequently that it was like a text for a college level course in philosophy. I just needed some information on it. So I just read the book. And then after reading the book, looking at Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, I said, well, I got enough rules and regulations already. I have enough restrictions and imposed disciplines already. I have enough of those being prescribed in a culture in a particular way. So, and the Taoists, they were always, flowy in the clouds and the mountains, moving around here, moving around there, and their common theme was the quintessential wanderer, the person who can wander from place to place to place, and maintain a viable life expression. That seemed interesting to me.
When did Tai Chi come into your life?
Tai Chi was always there from that age of 13, 14. Bruce Lee, Taoist philosophy. Tai Chi was always there in the nebulae, and then because of the yin-yang idea of the philosophy. So Tai Chi was always there. It was just a matter of putting yourself in the right position to absorb as much of the vibration of Tai Chi as you possibly could. And that was what I found that I was actually doing. So in looking for the Tai Chi, I would study different arts. I studied Taekwondo, I studied Kung Fu, I studied karate, judo. This is just looking for this Tai Chi thing. And so again, going from place to place, one place to the other, and you pick up things along the way.
Where did you know that you found it?
Oh, I knew I found it when I was in after I left the military. Well, the military gave me the opportunity to sample all these different expressions of what I find is the expressions of Tai Chi. So I got an opportunity to sample all these things and to have a better consciousness of what I was looking for. And so when I was when I got out of the military, I went to college, used my GI Bill to go to college, and the first thing I started taking were Chinese language classes and philosophy classes, things like that. And in one of my classes, there was a guy who taught Tai Chi, or he was in my Chinese class, or he taught Tai Chi. And now having some awareness of what Tai Chi was, I was curious. Okay, so what does it mean that you teach Tai Chi? Okay. And he said, well, come to my studio. And I went to the studio, and there was a group, family of people, a community, probably about 15 to 20 people in this community. And they were doing what is now understood as Yang-style Tai Chi. So I just hung out with them for several years. And we would work with different Tai Chi masters, bring Tai Chi masters in to work with us, go work with them. And then there was this whole back and forth opportunity of just doing Tai Chi. So I did Tai Chi for the next 7 or 8 years with this group of people. Tai Chi includes, learning Qigong, learning the basis for self-healing, learning the art, learning the martial aspects of it, learning the healing aspects of it. So I did that for about 7 or 8 years.
It's interesting that you said that you talked about the vibration of the Tai Chi, knowing the vibration of it. And I remember when I was first exposed to Tai Chi was back in the early 90s. I went to a conference, a Mind, Body, Spirit healing conference in Boston, and I was exposed to it. I had no idea what it was, and it was almost like I was obsessed with it when I was there. Qigong also, the energy flow that was in it.
Exactly.
And I looked everywhere for that, and I didn't find it until I walked into one of your classes here in Alaska several years later, and you walked into the room, you didn't say a word, and you went through these movements, and it was the Tai Chi that I had experienced in Boston, and it was the vibration of it. It was right there. I said, that's it. That's what I came to learn.
And that's how it happens. That's how it happened for me with regards to, I say, Tai Chi proper. And I saw Tai Chi proper when I was in Hawaii, and I was studying Kung Fu. I was studying White Crane Kung Fu. And what you start to learn in the Kung Fu systems is that just about all Kung Fu systems have their Tai Chi. So I was in this Kung Fu school, learning White Crane Kung Fu, going through the White Crane forms and the basic exercises. And then off in one of the ante rooms were this group of guys, right? So I peer into the ante room, and I see this one guy. He has his leg, and he's just holding it up in the air. And he's in some type of exotic form, just holding this leg up in the air. And I said, that's it, right? That's it. That was what? That was the level of intimacy that I wanted with my energy, with my body-mind energy. I wanted that level of integration, that level of energy that I saw. And so then I knew what I was looking for.
And it's just like resonance. Once you have that.
Once you have that, right.
It starts, information just starts to flow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's sort of like in the Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie. In the Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie, the young boy, Jackie Chan takes the young boy to Wudang Mountain. He goes to Wudang Mountain, and he sees a practitioner on a precipice, on a statue precipice, holding a form like a snake, right? And he looked at, that's it. That's it. Once you see one of those, once you experience that, that's it. And from there on, it's just, right, this information just comes to you, pours to you, and you get more and more and more. And you start to see it everywhere in all kinds of places.
I know you took a few years out of your life and wandered and pretty much did nothing but Tai Chi. Right. How long did that last? Where'd you go?
It's still going on. I'm still a wanderer. I still wander around and just do Tai Chi.
So in that, what do you feel inside when if you can put it into words, when you do Tai Chi? What is it that you look for, the experience that you want?
There's, of course, there's different levels. And so you have the mind level, you have the body level, you have the spirit level. And at the same time, all these levels are integrated into one whole. So every time you do Tai Chi, it's a different experience. But what I look for is the experience of being immersed in the now. So being immersed in being. So it's sort of like being is like being in a warm tub of water, but allowing yourself to realize it. So it's like we're in a warm tub of water all the time. But when you allow yourself to realize it, then you go, ah.
Yeah, I know sometimes if I'm looking for an insight, especially, I need a good insight on pretty much anything, I'll stop, do Tai Chi, and really feel the energy flow. I don't think about anything else. I don't think about, I kind of put it out in the beginning, this is what I'm looking for, but then I stop and I just let the energy flow through my body. I feel the movements, I feel strong, I feel quiet inside, and then it all happens. I'll get the information at some point soon after that will just appear.
Right. And then it all happens. And where you were experiencing your reality in pieces and parts, Now you experience your reality as a oneness, which means all. And it all happens, right? Just right there. So it doesn't matter what you were looking for, or where you are in your life or in space and time. When you do the Tai Chi, it all just comes together, which makes it easier for you to address any concerns that you might have.
And would you call that feeling, that sense, that's such an incredible, that's a powerful sense to have. That is outside the box and beyond what we normally live in. Is that an obsession, an addiction? You know, what happens because you have to have that more and more, or often?
I don't like the negative connotation of addiction and obsession or being possessed, because these are saying that something outside of yourself or something not yourself is compelling you or controlling you or doing you. And that's how I hear some people talk about it. You know, it's like, you don't do drugs, or drugs are doing you, you know, type of a thing. I'm talking about with addiction and possessions and obsessions. When you do the Tai Chi, it's like you're doing you. It allows you to get high on life, as we say. You know, to get access to your own internal serotonins, to your own internal dopamine, to your own internal chemical combinations and compositions that you can only realize through the formulation of your body to the experiential that you're being presented with. So this idea of addiction for free will human beings, I find inappropriate, because if a person is doing the substance, they're doing it because they're choosing to do it. They're free. They have free will. They can always stop, or do something else, or go someplace else, or change their patterns and change their life patterns. They just think they can't, which is not true. That's not a truism. So the idea of addiction isn't really true. The idea of addiction is confined to your place and circumstances. So we're going to call somebody a heroin addict in New York City. He's a heroin addict. Well, if you put him in the outbacks of Australia, well, he may still be a heroin addict, but there's no heroin for him to get. So what's he gonna do, right? He's just gonna be who and what he is, and find some other activities that, you know, stimulate the internal chemicals inside of his body to produce whatever ideals of pleasantness this person is interested in. But it's free. They're making choices. They're always making choices, and if you give them an opportunity to deny that they're making choices, they can always find someone and something to blame it on. You made me do this. No, I did not make you do that. Right? Well, it made me do it. No, it did not make you do that. Right? You were given the option and you made a choice. And because of that, you can make different choices. It's always possible to make different choices. And when you give up the attitude that you're choosing to move through life and to live through life in the way that you do, when you give up that option, you've given up your sovereign rights to yourself and who you are, and you've given it to whatever you label as that thing that's doing it to you.
So going back then, the Tai Chi and the vibration that we feel in that is a connection to being more and more of our true self, and connecting to that oneness aspect, and that knowing within the oneness. It's difficult then to do something where you don't have that.
That's the point of Tai Chi. You know, it's like once you know where the door to heaven is and how to go in and out, you know, it's like you're at home with the gods.
So along your journey, you had a place where you came to actually formally study Oriental medicine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at what point did you come to the vision of opening a school, having a community of healers, finding that place where, you're so compassionate to all people, and finding that place inside where you were brought up in a very world of separateness, but transcending that in some way?
It's pretty much what I experienced in the actual practicing of Tai Chi. In order to practice Tai Chi, you have to learn Qigong. Qigong is working with the Qi, working with the life force. So in the learning of Qigong, they have a lot of meditative practices. One of the meditative practices is standing meditation. I found standing meditation worked wonderfully for me, in that a lot of people do sitting meditation, lying down meditation. Standing meditation worked for me. So I could stand for hours, literally 2 hours, 3 hours, just standing in a energetic posture, a posture designed to move life energy through the body in a particular way. So I found that I enjoyed these standing meditations. In enjoying these standing meditations, I did a lot of it. So doing a lot of it changed my perception of self and reality over that time. When you allow yourself to be still for a while, you start to perceive things that you don't perceive when you're active.
I know you've said before, for the students in our school, one of the most important things that they can learn, if nothing else, is to sit in stillness. And that's why?
These days I say sit in stillness, but the idea is to be in stillness. Allow yourself to be in stillness, regardless of what it is that you're doing and where it is that you're at, so that there's a central core, a center of calmness and stillness. And that becomes your universal reference point.
And that's kind of the goal of all of the work.
Yes.
Is to get to that point.
Is to get to you understanding your universal reference point, or realizing that you are a universal reference point, right? From where you are at any point in space and time, the universe has referenced itself around you in 360 degrees. So you're the center of your universe.
I know the Taoist saying something on the lines of, if you want to heal a disease, find your center. Find your center and you will be healed. And that's the center.
Okay.
Your universal point of reference.
Mm-hmm.
And so disease would be not being in that, being too much in the noise around?
Yes. That's the short answer. The short answer is yes.
Okay. Now, you had a vision of a school. Anything you want to say about that?
Yes. I had a vision of community. What I found in my wanderings is that Tai Chi and Qigong, let me go beyond that. Healing itself. Healing has to happen in the appropriate community. And once you experience a healing community, you want to allow for that experience in your life as much as you possibly can. And I found that a lot of these communities were places where people were learning, and it didn't matter that much as to what it was that they were learning, as long as they were learning aspects or something about the way. So there's a myriad number of activities that express the way. And so I wanted to start a community of people who were engaged in activities of the way. And I found that, Tai Chi showed me how to become this universal reference point. Then the question was, why? Why do these activities lead to, or have a propensity to lead to this type of experience? And I came to realize that the answer to that question would be at one of these Oriental medicine schools or colleges, the place where they teach energy. And I said, okay. And so the first thing that I did when I realized that was I got a book on Oriental medicine. So this was at the time Ted Kapchuk's The Web That Has No Weaver. So I read that work and sort of lived with it for a little while. And they said, okay, let me go find a school of Oriental medicine where I can learn and live with these principles for a little while. And that was another wandering journey. And so I wandered around and I went to the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine, hung out there for about 5 or 6 years. Learned the different modalities of Oriental medicine: acupuncture, massage, moxibustion, cupping, herbs. And so that was my exposure to Oriental medicine. And so now I have this idea of, I have this Tai Chi and Qigong in one hand, and I have these principles of Oriental medicine in another hand. And I said, oh, let's go put something together with that. So I was looking for a receptive environment, and in my research, it seemed as though Alaska was a receptive environment. They had 600,000 people here. That's 500,000 people. Okay. I said, oh, okay, that's enough people to play with. And so I came up here and first started a Tai Chi family, then started an Oriental medicine school, and then it just evolves. So why? For community, that's why. For people to be around and with people who do these things, are interested in these things, this is how they want to express themselves in life.
And we do have a very strong foundation in the Tai Chi and the Qigong, in that original vibration.
And the strongest schools that I've seen always worked with the body-mind, not just the mind, not just the spirit. They worked with the body-mind. These were the schools that had the strongest resonance and the strongest foundations. So in this case it's Tai Chi, but it could be yoga, it could be any kind of martial arts, it could be movement studies, those types of things. So making it real to the kinetic experience that we have was what I found made it the strongest.
It's interesting to see when somebody comes in and they feel it and they know this is where I need to go, this is where I need to study. I don't know why, but I need to be here. Almost like it's that, going all the way back to Bruce Lee and that vibration, that they're feeling that.
Mm-hmm. That's because this place is set up for them. It is. It's set up for them. And when they come, they say, oh, I found it. Okay, here it is. And so that, what I feel is my job, is my reason for being, to create that kind of environment and experience for the people who want that kind of environment and experience and can harmonize with that, resonate with it, feel it.
Yeah. So you've done some really interesting, I would say cutting edge, outside of the box at the same time, work, your own insights on a lot of the information that's going on right now with the quantum physics, the energy work, the energy healing. You put the information together into what you call the healing response. And I know you're moving that information forward. But I know that in knowing you and in seeing how you work and in experiencing the information that you've put out, I can see where you've gone into that place of emptiness, allowed it to formulate into something, and then in your own way put that information together from that. And that's some fascinating work, helping healers help other people.
That comes when you don't have any other choices. In that, when you're a child and you're short on friends and company, you learn to do a lot of things on your own with yourself. So you become your own counsel, your own counselor, your own best friend, your own buddy, your own traveling companion, your own research assistant, you own everything. You're a monad, a monk. You're like a monk, right? One of the things that I have found is that nobody's perfect in this thing that we would call perfect. This idea we would call perfection. Nobody's perfect. We all have our good parts, bad parts, our yin and our yangs. But what I find is that, in general, the capacity for people to have love and compassion isn't great enough. People don't love big enough. They don't love great enough. They love them and theirs, but they don't love those. Right? And if they do love those, then they don't love them and theirs. I mean, there's all, it's like, well, they'd rather be with those people than be with us. That is so small and narrow. And so I would say, well, their ability for compassion is just not big enough. And that's what I see. And so that's what I express is, anybody can be in our community who can harmonize with the community. There are no requirements other than harmonization with the community, being appropriate in the environment, in your environment. That's basically all. Everything else, well, they're just things that we do. They're just activities. So a person, well, do I have to do Tai Chi to go to your school? No. Right? Well, do I have to do Oriental medicine to go to your school? No. Do I have to do massage to go to your school? Well, no. Right? But if you're in the environment, it would be appropriate for you to do something. So just do something. Right? Take a Tai Chi class. Take a massage school class. Just do that. Just hang out and do Tai Chi with the group. But do something. We learn in Oriental medicine that pain is stagnation, right? Back in the beginning, I said, what did Bruce Lee teach? Flow, right? Flow is an activity. That means you're doing something. Do something, and make it appropriate, make it harmonious, right? And appropriate and harmonious. What I like to tell my kids is, be pleasant. Just be pleasant, right? We prefer pleasantness. Be pleasant. Be pleasant in your speech. Be pleasant in your actions. Be pleasant in how you orient yourself to other people. Be pleasant. And, so it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, redneck, or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Come, hang out, be pleasant, do what you're inclined to do, and don't be mean. Just don't be mean.
Speaking on the capacity for people to love more, in doing a lot of this work over the years, I had an experience several years ago, not too long ago, but a few. I was in a coffee shop, just sitting there, and I was looking around, and all of a sudden I saw everyone that was sitting there like they were as beautiful as my own child. And I couldn't stop staring at the people because I had never seen everyone like that before. And I knew that's what I wanted to bring out more here through my work.
How's that going?
Oh, I love it. That's what I love to see. I love to look at somebody and find that light, find that beauty, and then hopefully instill in our students how to do that, or that's even possible.
Well, if you can conceive it, then it's possible.
So I think we'll have to do this again at some point and maybe go a little bit deeper into the healing response aspect, because there's some fascinating things that are in that work. And for right now, anything at all that you would, what would you tell your kids about all of this work? About Tai Chi or the vibration or the healing aspect, anything in it?
I would be pretty cliche-ish. Be a good person. That's all. It doesn't matter. Just be a good person. However, there's a whole journey involved with learning what being a good person actually is. And I say be a good person because the world needs good people. The world doesn't need another person who's not involved, right? The world doesn't need another person who's just a jerk and an asshole. Just be a good person. That's what the world needs, good people. Now, who are those good people? Well, like I say, they're the ones who can harmonize and be appropriate.
And any thoughts if somebody wants to get started? They've never done any of this before. They want to get started on Tai Chi. Best place to start?
The best place to start is to have a motivating intention to do so. Once you have a motivating intention to do so, everything else follows after that. Or, as Nike says, just do it.
All right, and there you have it. Just do it. Be a good person and just do it. And so until next time, thank you very much.